close. Okay.
Broadcasting live from the United States of America. You're listening to the Living Sexy Radio Network, playing the sexiest music on the planet.
Sexy. Yeah. Are you on? There you go. Okay, hey everybody, how are you? It's just about that time. Well, not just about, it's very close to that time. It's me, I'm talking. Hi. All right, there's Dr. Dave. He's the
Good
man.
to see you guys.
Mm-hmm. He's the man from Stages of Life.
It's time for Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Have a medical question? Call 407-422-1212. That's 407-422-1212 or text 23680.
All right, cue the pickers.
There we go.
Ready? Pick it. Oh, he doesn't want to go? Oh, fine. Okay. Fine. You see how this works. You forgot to pay the band.
Session.
You forgot to pay the band.
Oh, I forgot, man.
It's Stages of Life Radio, and in case you hadn't figured it out, we are live. We are impotent. And we are fun at parties.
There you
it's
go.
true.
Yeah, actually, yeah. We are for hire at parties.
This is what. Yeah. Looking for entertainment. Anyway, Stages of Life Radio. Yes, we are now live. I am Melissa Fox from Good Morning Orlando and various other projects and ventures throughout Central Florida. And this guy here is Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute right down the street in beautiful Longwood, Florida.
Yes.
And we are taking questions. We're going to talk about a couple of things today, but let's get that phone number out there. 407-422-1212. We got our operator on duty waiting for you. Or you can text us, 23680. If you're watching us on social media, you know that we will take your questions and give answers during the radio commercial breaks. And today you want to talk about how our body is a machine and we need to know the parts.
The parts list. You know, it's like everybody thinks that life is so complicated. They think that business is so complicated, and they think that nutrition and medicine is just so complicated because we use lots of polysyllabic words. We use Greek and Latin, apothecary, all kinds of crazy sorts of jargon-esque things. And if you do, it's well known in medicine that if you do, you can charge more.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over some of the basics of the things that you need to know. Some of the basics of things to keep yourself healthy. And it's a philosophical approach more than anything else. You know, when you start getting into absolutes, when you start getting into specifics, when you get right down to the little fine print in the notes, you've already lost the game. You're done. You're not going anywhere. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture. So one of the lessons that we were taught when I was in medical school, and yes, I did go to medical school.
Hey.
So when you looked at an x-ray, you didn't get up real close to it. You could usually tell an amateur or a wannabe because they would hold the x-ray up to a light and start looking at the small pieces. And that's just not the way it's done. What an expert does, it sticks it on the wall and then steps back 2 or 3 feet and looks at the whole thing. And by looking at the big picture first, before you start focusing on the subtle findings, you will see that what you need to see. You compare side to side. You compare up to down. You know, if you have yellow leaves on your tree, look at the rest of the tree and see if that area is any different than the rest of it. You know, if you have one limb that's turning yellow and the rest of it's nice and green, you know that you have a localized process. Same thing is true in medicine. So what does your body and the body's physiology and your car have in common? Or even better, so if you go out to one of these cheap furniture places where the stuff comes in a flat box and you're expected to assemble it, right? You know, we all know who we're talking about. Stuff is garbage. It's pressed board. It lasts about 2 years, and then your kid trips over it and turns it into splinters. Expensive kindling, what you have there, my friend. But they all come with parts lists. What does this mean? It means you have a piece of paper written partly in Chinese and partly in Swedish and a little bit in English, and it'll tell you that you have to have 6 of these, 12 of those, 10 of those, 15 of these, and then you have to have the following instruments of self-destruction, like a Phillips screwdriver, a hammer, and a rip saw. Who knows what you need? But they'll spell it all out. There should be 16 number 4 screws, there should be 12 number 8 screws, and there should be a small tube of glue. All right, great. So now you know what's the parts list for that piece of furniture. Your car has a similar parts list. So if you go Advanced Auto and you want to look at, I need to put in an air conditioning compressor, there'll be a parts list that comes with it. You know, in the military, there'll be a mill list. That's just the way these things go. If you have anything in the military, it's got a series of these serial number parts that come along with it. They will be present or they will not be present in that kit, but at least you know what you need to replace. What's
supposed to be there, yeah.
What's supposed to be there. Or if something wears out, you know, you need an A2616/G4. Boom, you can pull it right out of the catalog. Your body has a very similar parts list. And we all know these parts, and that's the funny thing. We all know these parts. What we don't realize and we don't like to think about is really what is the nature of the parts list. The parts list, these are the things that are going to wear out or be consumed or just disappear for whatever reason. So if you know that you have a deuce and a quarters, a truck in the Army, okay, it's one of those kinds of things that hauls around useless things, junk usually,
Stop it, that's
ammunition, whatever.
People.
It's people mostly. Yeah, I know. I've sat in the back of those things before. They are loud, dirty, and really intended for somebody else other than me. And so, but you know that if you lose a tire, okay, you lose a tire, there may be 6 on the truck, 4 in the back, 2 in the front. You got to keep going. That's just the way that it works.
Keep going.
However, if you need to replace it, each tire has a mil-spec number on it. Each tire has a parts list, and some of them are interchangeable. Some of them are not. On your car, as it is on my car, the back tires and the front tires may be different. That's the way it is with higher performance vehicles. My truck, they're all the same. But on my sedan, they're not. The 2 in the rear are different than the 2 in the front.
I believe I have a block engine now.
Was that right? Yeah, lovely. So what do you do? Okay. So when things start to break in the human body, you look at the parts list. And you start replacing things or try to figure out what went wrong. And some of them are larger pieces, like what's the parts list for a heart? What's the parts list for a pair of lungs? What's the part list for a liver? But most of the parts lists are much smaller. We call them vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids, and other chemicals. These are things that the body uses for particular reasons within the machinery, and they have to be either manufactured by the body or consumed from the outside. Things that are consumed from the outside, we call them vitamins. Things that are consumed from the outside, we call them minerals, because after all, you can't manufacture a mineral. Body can't do it. You cannot create or destroy matter. It's just the way these things work. The elements are unique. You cannot change them unless you're in a nuclear reactor, and that's something I used to do as a hobby when I was a kid.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, that really is kind of neat.
Hey, Doc, you got a minute to take a call here?
Of course I do.
We got Herb.
Before I ramble further.
Right. Before you go any further. Herb, how you doing? Turn your radio down, Herb. Herb's from Orlando. He wants to know the time. It's kind of a morbid question.
Morbid question. Okay, well, I'm ready.
He says someone has Hashimoto's. How long till they die? Is that really your question?
Well, it depends
Herb?
on what your intention is. I have Hashimoto's, and I'm not intending to die anytime too soon. So, Herb, the story with Hashimoto's, it's the most common of all the autoimmune disorders that's out there. Roughly 1/3, okay, the people that have thyroid disease have Hashimoto's, and that's about 30% of the population. So it's a significant number of people have this disease, don't know they have it. It's just the way that it works. So once you make the diagnosis, you can actually start therapy, start treatment, and getting people back on the road to therapy or to health, that is. So how long do people with Hashimoto's live? Typically a long, full life.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's not something that's associated with early death. Unless it's severe and unless you don't take care of the consequences of it, like elevated cholesterol, like elevated blood pressure, like impaired immune system.
So take care of yourself, even
Fix
though you
it.
have it, and fix it.
$18 a month to treat it.
Text line's got a quick question for you, Doc. Any sugar substitutes safe for diabetics?
Yeah, your best one is called none, and here's the reason.
Chemicals.
So it's a simple bit of chemistry here. So what your body's looking for is glucose. Most people get into trouble using fructose because that inhibits the insulin receptor as well as cause the blood sugar itself to go up. But when you take sugar substitutes, non-glycemic substitutes, they're really non-glycemic. It fools your brain into thinking that you have a sugar load, which then causes your pancreas to kick out more insulin and will in fact cause you just the same type of problems. That's the reason why when you do sugar substitution, you don't lose weight. If that were the case, you would, but you don't.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so just retrain your taste buds.
Try not to do the sugar
Just don't
substitutes at all.
Don't do it.
Frankly, they're chemicals. They don't taste any better.
No.
Even that stevia.
They're poison.
Yeah.
So
stay away.
What do? They poison.
Yep. So stay away. No sugar substitutes, and try to cut down the sugar on your own, my friends. All right, we can take a quick break. And if you have a question, phone lines are open again, 407-422-1212, or text 23680. Stages of Life Radio live today on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
Ooh, nice.
Thank you. That's what I do. I have a question on...
Well, actually, getting back to this substitute for diabetics.
Oh, go ahead.
The one thing that I would suggest that you do, and this is because it doesn't really substitute for sugar, but it kind of sort of does, and it's liquid hyaluronic acid. All right? The product I use is called Lubrasyn, Lubrasyn. Yeah, now this stuff does really good things for your joints. It does really good things for your skin, and it's slightly sweet. So I have people taking this stuff anyway. So if you needed something, Lubrasyn. And so it's interesting stuff. So if you put a little bit in your tea, a little bit in your coffee, if that's what you needed, that would be fine. There's one more thing that's not considered to be a sugar substitute, but can function that way, and it's an amino acid called glycine, or L-glycine. L-glycine is a little bit sweet also. But what's neat about glycine is it's a soporific. It will help you rest. I use it to treat folks that are agitated, ADD. I use it to treat bipolar patients, folks that have insomnia issues. So glycine is the most common, most prevalent of all amino acids in our entire body. It is cheap, but get it in a powder form. And then you can just take a little bit of that, flip it over your food, whatever you need to do, and you actually have a food supplement rather than a sugar substitute. Two very, very different things. I wish I had thought to mention that on the air just a few minutes ago.
It's okay. We'll deal with it. All right, so we have a question about a book. Have you read, hold on, Big Fat, where'd it go? It's messing with me.
Disappeared.
Are you familiar with the book The Big Fat Surprise by Nina T. Schultz?
Nope.
Sorry, no.
But
what am I supposed to say?
But if you can let me know what, no.
It's a big fat diet. I'm probably something I just did a keto diet because that's really not good.
Okay, there are more diet books than there are world religions. Just so we understand each other. And every year, another 15 or 20 come out. So what is the story with diet? Pay attention to our little discussion on the parts list, because when you're looking at diet, when you're looking at weight gain, it's when you deviate from your parts list. When you deviate from your parts list is when you gain weight. Fructose is not in the human parts list. And yet it's a major component to our diet. Soy meal. Okay, you find that in all manners of stuff called cattle food, but also in Weight Watchers meals, is not in our parts list.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, Lee. But this book, diets. The best bet's a Mediterranean diet, and everything in moderation, my friends.
That's the Ben Franklin diet.
Yeah, pretty much. And Ben liked his weed.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He liked a lot of things, apparently, in less than moderation. Yeah. His French dressing was different from yours.
Just a little bit. Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio, live on News Radio WFLA Orlando, Sunday.
It's Capital Drag Race.
You like that, right?
Yes.
$15 for the chair, but you'll only need the edge. I am Melissa Fox. We do this Sundays 4 until 5. Dr. David Klein explains it all. He's better than Marissa. She used to explain it all. Then she got bored.
There we go.
Yeah, maybe she didn't know it all. But Dr. Klein, what he doesn't know, he finds out pretty darn quick, I'll tell you that much. So we were talking a little bit before the break about sugar substitutes, and you suggested,
Well, there were two things,
two.
In getting back to it, so when asked about a substitute for sugar, okay, you don't want to be substituting for sugar. You want to pull it out and down, and you change your taste buds so that you don't look for something that's sweet. So when I have tea, the last thing I'm going to put in it, unless I have a cold or sore throat, is honey. The last thing I'm going to put in my coffee is sugar. I am not going to eat sweet. Why? Because fructose is more addictive than cocaine. This is why people have such a hard time, even when their body is dying from diabetes, they can't pull away from the fructose. When they're dying of obstructive lung disease, emphysema, they have a hard time pulling away from cigarettes. You have a junkie, they just don't pull away from the heroin. So the best bet is not to start it.
Yeah, well,
So get the heck off that garbage.
Okay.
It killed you once with the diabetes. Don't you think it's about time you didn't take it anymore?
Yeah.
However, there is a time and a place for things to taste a little bit on the sweet side. And if you're going to do that, why not take something that actually gives you a piece of nutrition, something you may not get any other way, and will give you salutary effects? That means be good for you as opposed to bad for you.
So we're not talking about cake.
No. No. It's stuff that, you didn't get fat from eating fish, right? You didn't get fat from eating chicken. You got fat from eating carbohydrates and junk. So what do you do if you need something a little bit on the sweet side for whatever reason? There's a product called Lubricin. Okay, and I was introduced to Lubricin through the horse industry because they use this to treat expensive racehorses when their knees, their hocks, their joints go bad.
Right.
So hyaluronic acid in high molecular weight is marvelous lubricant for the joints, but do you need to inject it? At $500 a joint, your doctor can inject your joints with hyaluronic acid.
Now.
It's $2,000 plus or minus. All right? Great idea. Or for
attention.
$30 a month, you can take the liquid. So being a frugal kind of individual and somebody who doesn't want some yahoo with an
Kinda
MD after
cheap.
the name coming after my knees or shoulders or hips, I take my Lubricin in liquid form. It's a little bit sweet. So if you had to do it, you put that on your oatmeal instead of syrup. You put that on your toast instead of jelly. And now you've got a nutrient, a supplement, something that's good for you that will give you that sweetness.
Cool.
Now, if you're a little crazy, or if you have problems with insomnia,
What do you mean?
bipolar, it's a good one. Folks with ADD, OCD, folks with these psychiatric illnesses, there's an amino acid called L-glycine. L means levo, so the L capital dash glycine, Glycine. The thing with glycine is it's also sweet, but will help you rest at night. And if you have a hyperactive kid, ADD, ADHD, you know who you are, it will settle you down.
Stop laughing at me.
It is. It's interesting stuff, and it's very, very inexpensive.
Cool.
Does it need a prescription? The answer is negatory, Batman.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, so I should have been more clear in that discussion.
That's okay. Well, we cleared that up for you. 407-422-1212. That's the number to get a hold of us today. And 23680. We got a text line
It's a
question.
great question.
Okay.
And the answer is not going to make this person happy. So it says, "Hey Doc, great show. Thank you. I know this." Question: What do I think about ivermectin as a treatment for COVID-19, and is it a good alternative to vaccination? And the answer is ivermectin is a good treatment in the acute phase of COVID-19. It's helpful for it. Is it the only one out there? The answer is no. Could it be expensive? The answer is yes. Is it harder to get? The answer is yes. In terms of an alternative to vaccination, if you think getting the disease is a good alternative and then treating it, I would disagree with you. It's a whole lot better to prevent these problems than to go running around hoping that you get your sense of taste or smell back. Because there are lots of people out there that are going to have a hard time tasting their pizzas now that their sense of smell and taste is gone. So no, get the damn vaccination. I got my first dose. Now, for a day or two afterwards, it felt like somebody slugged me in the arm. Do it. You can't be that big a snowflake to really be afraid of that, but it will happen to a certain number of people. With regards to ivermectin, I use ivermectin in my practice. What works better, oddly enough, is Plaquenil. Why Plaquenil? Because there's more data to look at Plaquenil than ivermectin. That's the first thing. The second thing is ivermectin isn't nearly as good an anti-inflammatory as the Plaquenil. And when you start feeling sick with COVID, when you start to go south, doing badly, what happens first is your interleukin-6 level goes up. This will happen before your PCR is detectable. Way cool. So the first lab test that goes north is IL-6. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, the Plaquenil will bring down interleukin-6. So if you're starting to feel cruddy as a result of that flu, cruddy as a result of whatever the viral infection is, the Plaquenil is a better choice. Is it expensive? And the answer is no. Full course of this stuff is about $15 a month. It is very, very cheap. So you take 400 milligrams twice a day and 200 milligrams, twice a day thereafter, you can treat somebody for less than the cost of a pizza a month.
I gotta wonder why you were looking for an alternative to the vaccine.
Vaccine's
Just
free.
take the vaccine.
Take the vaccine. There are people out there in other states, other areas that are dying waiting to get this stuff. I was speaking to my sister this morning. We can't get it in Austin because they blah blah blah. They can't figure out how to.
Yeah, we can't figure out
how to get into the darn thing. Here we are blessed. This is if you're listening from Florida, and there are a lot of our listeners that are.
We got vacation or vaccine tourism going on. You know that, right?
And
Fly
come on
on
down.
in, get your
come
arm.
on in.
Bam, bam.
Yeah, we have lots of people here who aren't smart enough to sign up for it. So come on down and get it. It doesn't really matter what part of the country, and you're an American last time I checked.
Mm-hmm.
So get the vaccine. The feds are giving it to us.
Get it done.
Just get it done.
Russ is on the line. He is 61. Hey, Russ. Got a question about recurring pain in his side. Now, don't talk to your wife like that. That's terrible.
No, actually, the pain in the wife is a lower level of pain.
Hi, Russ. Russ.
Hello, yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we sure can. You sound like you're inside of a box.
Right.
You
turn
the
speakerphone on there or something?
There
you
now
are.
We're talking. Now you're in real radio mode there, Bruce.
Okay, we want to ask you a couple of questions, Russ, about the old pain in the back.
Well, it's really kind of in my side. It would be, if I wore Speedos, it would be in that area.
Well, that would be
on
a
the
bad
side.
idea.
Yeah.
To wear
Okay.
Speedos.
So
Well,
Speedos.
exactly. Yeah,
I hate to say it, Russ, but Speedos are long gone.
Yeah, let
okay?
that go.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, I don't wear them. I'm just trying to tell you where it's at. So, in other words,
love handle area.
Yeah, I gotcha. It's called.
sounded better. Well, I could have said the bikini line, but that wouldn't have worked either.
No.
So,
Well, it's this. There's
so it's
no gentlemanly way to put this, but it's called the anterior iliac spine.
exactly
Yeah. Okay, so you're hurting in the. How old are you?
61.
Okay. Are you heavy? Are you a big man?
No, I'm extremely healthy.
No. I don't mean. Are you? Are you? But you're not obese.
Not at all. I'm in great shape.
Are you a truck driver or anything like that?
No, sir.
All right. Do you wear a utility belt as part of your job?
Nope.
All right. What I'm looking for, there's a small nerve that passes there anteriorly. Okay. So in other words, like if it's in the front part of the groin to the lateral part, there's a nerve there called the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, or LFCN. And that sucker can get pinched. So you'll see it in folks that have a little bit of a roll. You'll see it in individuals that sit for lengths of time, like truck drivers. You'll see it in cops because of their utility belts. But you'll also see it in individuals that either have to carry things where the edge of a carton or a weight will rest on their hips like that. Now, what else can cause this? This is where it gets to be more interesting. You can push a box with your leg. You're not supposed to do that, but people do it all the time. Pushing a weight along a floor as if it were a soccer ball. And that will tear into tear into a muscle called the sartorius, which in turn gooses the same nerve. So the most common cause of pain in that area is either sartorius tendonitis or neuralgia paresthetica. So Russ, does it hurt when you cross your legs?
It doesn't even hurt much at all. It doesn't particularly. It just once in a while I really feel the pain. I'm starting to feel it now in my quadricep a little bit, starting from the bikini line down into the quadricep.
All right.
So,
what kind of work? What kind of work do you do?
He's an exotic dancer.
I have my own business and I have some rental property, so I go out and work on it once in a while, and I do other things, income from the online and that sort of thing. I do sit, but maybe half my time is sitting, but I'm sitting on a higher chair.
Yeah, that's probably where you did it. Yeah, you'd be more than likely you did it with the sitting, but another way that you can nail this thing is by hanging drywall or working up overhead.
Yeah.
So if you're a happy rental homeowner, you have a number of opportunities to nail in this area. Well, on the way back, I'm going to tell you what to do about it.
All right, so hang on. He's got a little bit more information on the other side of this commercial break. This is Stages of Life Radio. Any products we discuss here can be found at stagesoflifevitamins.com. It's a plethora, a myriad. This information, just crazy amount.
Lots of stuff.
I mean, really, you'll never read it all. You won't. Also, we've got some questions on social media. We'll get to that right now. Follow us on Stages of Life Medical Institute on the social media. Be right back. This is really short. Okay, 2 minutes. Karen says, where are the vaccines? We've been looking.
Where are they?
Seminole County. We're having a hell of a time getting.
Okay, for starters, sign up with the Seminole County Health Department. Okay, just look for Seminole County Health Department. Look up COVID vaccines, Seminole County. Okay. It's only given in one area right now, and that's at the Oviedo Mall. But they're there every day doing it. So the trick is to sign up for the notifications, and then keep your phone on your hip. Keep it nearby. Because when that notification goes off, it's going to be something like this. Seminole County Health Department is opening up 1,500 vaccines at 11 a.m. today.
Mm-hmm. And at 5 to 11, everybody is going
to
be
Everybody's trying to hit that website. So what you do, and I explained this to Sis this morning, okay, is you go ahead and you open up your browser on your computer, whatever that browser happens to be, and type in the URL, the location for the Seminole County Health Department, the sign-up portion.
Julie, yes.
And then you open up another tab in the same browser, and you put it in again, and open up a third tab in the browser. And then you start at 11 o'clock sharp.
40
bam,
yep.
Bam,
keep hitting F5.
Bam, bam, keep hitting it. And then when they need to be refreshed, Control-C, hit them. Then comes the fun part. As soon as you open up that site, drop all the way to the bottom and grab the last appointment available, and you'll get it every time.
There we go. Julie wants to know if she's had COVID, should she get a vaccine? I said yes.
Of course.
Because, we don't know the window.
No, it's not only just that, but you can get the disease and not develop the antibodies to it.
See, there you go.
So this is, when we test for this, we do quantitative antibody testing.
Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando. Also, replays, podcasts are available on the iHeartRadio app, and we have our videos available. 2 of the show on Stages of Life Medical Institute's page on Facebook and also on YouTube, Doc. So we got all that going on.
But we're not on Parler anymore.
Well, no. I've got my Parler. I haven't gotten rid of the Parler app.
What about Signal?
I don't know that
Check
one.
it out.
I don't know MeWe yet
Check out
either.
Signal.
Is that going to be another one?
That's going to be another one until it gets...
Okay. We got a... You wanted to finish with, I think it was Russ's quote. Was it
Russ? Okay. So Russ called in, and so he's got himself an issue which is fairly common. He's got intermittent pain in what's called the anterior iliac crest. Okay, which is that little bone that sits to the east or west, the outside of your groin. So it's the lateralmost portion of your hip bone. So what will happen, there's a muscle that attaches there called a sartorius, and it can develop a tendonitis. When it does, it's either from stretching that muscle, pulling that muscle, goosing that muscle, or compressing it. And it nails a nerve called the lateral femoral cutaneous, causing a disease called meralgia paresthetica, which causes pain in the quadriceps, which is what he has. So what I'm going to suggest that he do, because I went through the differential diagnosis with him, did everything but tell him what to do, which is not that helpful. You need an anti-inflammatory cream. Once upon a time, this was hard to do because you have to go to the doctor's office and then convince them that you need it.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's always good for a few laughs. Try to convince a doctor that you know what's wrong. Not always easy thing to do. In my office, it's never an easy thing to do. So you want to get something called Voltaren 1% gel, which used to be a prescription item. But you can go to Costco and get 3 tubes for $43, or you can go to Walgreens and get 1 for $43. Whatever it happens to be, get your tube of Voltaren and you squeeze off about 1 gram. And how much is that? That's about 1 small fingernail's amount. So it'd be kind of like 2 chocolate chips. And you put it over where that muscle attaches on the bone. Mm-hmm. So if you can think of a really like a slender girl in a bikini, it's that bone that kind of holds the bikini out a little bit. The guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And the guy that was asking about this was a guy, so he'll know precisely.
He knew, yeah.
Yeah, he started trying to describe the location of it by calling attention to his Speedos. Not something that he really wears, mind you, but just the same, it made it real clear where the problem was. And you apply the Voltaren gel 3 to 4 times per day, and it should settle it down. That's the first thing. Okay. You can use Kinky's lotion, which is something I invented for horses. So you do the same thing 3 to 4 times per day. and you apply it to that area, and it should settle it down. This is not going to be that big a problem for him, but it's a good idea to figure out what the activity was that set it off.
Right. All of these items, including the
Lubricin. We have Lubricin. Yeah.
All of that's available at Stages of Life Medical Institute. You can get it sent to you by mail. Just go to stagesoflifevitamins.com. Very simple.
Yeah, it's easy.
A lot of questions right now on social media. We'll share them with you. Elizabeth says she is under 65, but she has a bunch of comorbidities. How will she get the vaccine?
By signing up on the website. Okay, here's the little secret that nobody wants to tell you. They're not going to ask you for a check stub that says that you work at a doctor's office. They're going to ask you for your driver's license. They look at it, your name matches, and then you go. They don't really care so much as you might think.
So, yeah, Elizabeth, go ahead on your
Just
website
do
for your county, your health department, and sign up. And, yeah, like
Just
I said,
do it.
They just check the license and
They're
the names.
just happy that you're there.
Right.
Because they want to go through these vaccines and get as many people vaccinated as possible. It's not like you're getting the free generator from FEMA. Okay? Who, by the way, doesn't check it either.
Right.
You
That's
show up
another
there.
thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna stand all day long and get my free generator. Wait, what the hell?
Okay.
You know? What's wrong with you
Melanie
people?
is watching us also on the Facebook feed. She said, do you prescribe thyroid meds?
All day long. Thyroid medication is something that's very, very important in my practice. I take thyroid meds every day. My wife takes thyroid medications every day. So it's the sort of thing that, yes, I do. The way that I like to treat it is the same way that I treat other types of hormone imbalance systems. You measure that which is missing and then replace it. Not saying, well, okay, you're going to get Synthroid. Okay, because that was the way I was trained when I was in medical school 45 years ago. Nonsense. Okay, your body is looking for two different thyroid hormones. One's called T3, the other one's called T4. You can get these in certain quote-unquote natural thyroid products, which are prescription the same as everything else, but a whole lot more natural, a whole lot better for you. And I've been on thyroid medicines for 20 years. I feel good. My cholesterol's in the 170s. My calcium score was 0. My EGFR, my kidney functions out of a 25-year-old. I do not believe for a minute that I could practice medicine without those thyroid meds.
Now, I'm not sure I understand this text. By the way, the phone line is open, 407-422-1212.
It says thank you. I understand that entirely.
No, I got that one.
Oh.
And the text line is 23680. No, it's the one above it. Is saw palmetto good for the prostate?
That's a great question. That's a perfect question.
Okay.
Saw palmetto, is an interesting natural way to treat prostate enlargement. And does it work? And the answer is yes. Do I take it? And the answer is yes. As a guy, you'd have to be crazy at the age of 40 not to be taking saw palmetto in one form or another. What you need to know is it's only the berry extract that works. So a lot of the saw palmetto products out there, they take the whole plant, grind it up, and tell you, oh, this is 300 milligrams of saw palmetto. And unless you know what you're buying, it's garbage. So you can get the very best saw palmetto or the very worst saw palmetto and pay the same.
Oh.
So you have to pay attention to what you're doing. If you go on Stages of Life, vitamins.com, and just hit that search button and type in saw palmetto, just read about what you need to know. We've got lots of things that you can listen to. It'll teach you every bit of what you need to know about saw palmetto. If you listen long enough, you'll learn how it actually works. It's through inhibition of two different enzyme systems, one called aromatase, the other one's called 5-alpha reductase. So what these things do is they reduce estradiol levels.
Oh, okay.
And that shrinks the prostate. It also makes you more like Dr. Dave.
So you should be doing that then. That's the way to get here. Oh, now someone was asking about Hashimoto's as well
Yes.
on the internet. Here we got on our social media and on the text line. Melanie wants to know if you did the prescribing yourself for
Of course I do
Hashimoto's,
it.
and this one wants to know about Hashimoto's caused by a leaky gut.
Yes. Okay. No, of course I write the prescriptions myself for thyroid. I wouldn't have anybody else do it. I don't trust anybody else to do it between you and me. Now, with regards to studies looking at Hashimoto's and leaky gut, there's an association there. There's an association between Hashimoto's and gluten enteropathy. There are all manners of these studies that look at these comorbidities. What I will tell you is that this dovetails neatly into my original discussion, which is looking at the body's parts list. So what is it that causes Hashimoto's disease? This is getting interesting now because you can cause Hashimoto's by developing a deficiency of selenium and a deficiency of zinc. Zinc deficiency and selenium deficiency will lead to Hashimoto's disease. So these are these are minerals. These are in your parts list, and when they become deficient, the thyroid starts to break down. Vitamin D deficiency will increase your risk of developing Hashimoto's disease. So what do? Leaky gut, oddly enough, can be caused by certain mineral deficiencies as well, and amino acid deficiencies. So when I have people coming in for Hashimoto's and they have gastrointestinal difficulties, I treat the thyroid and I also treat the leaky gut. How do you do that, you might ask? And the answer is very simple. You use lactoferrin-containing colostrum, which will tie up the leaky gut. It tightens it up within a week. And something called L-glutamine. L-glutamine is an amino acid that increases the body's ability to kick out mucus in these cells.
Okay.
That is how you settle it down. There's a process you go through with regards to the diet to figure out whether or not you have lectin sensitivities, whether you have gluten sensitivity, whether you have a number of other food sensitivities. Not easy to figure out with blood work, by the way. That's the temptation, but it doesn't work very well.
We got Frederica on the line. She is 80 years young. Hi, Frederica. How you doing? Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Frederick?
Turn your radio down, my friend.
Okay, 80 years old, it says here. Cannot walk after taking about 25 steps. Got pain. Have to stop and stand there and wait it out.
Okay. How long has this been going on?
About 4 to 6 weeks now, and naproxen has done nothing usually because I have a lot of inflammation.
Okay. Are you a smoker?
Naproxen will take care of it, yes.
You're a smoker. All right. I want you to go tomorrow, okay, to your family doctor, or if you have a cardiologist, that's even better. And I want them to order up.
I just left there.
Good.
I have to have a ultrasound of the carotid artery tomorrow.
Okay, good. While you're there, okay, ask them to do something called an ABI. That's capital A, capital B, capital I, to look at your legs to make sure that you don't have claudication. And this is hardening of the arteries in the legs. So yeah,
I have a order for an X-ray of the hips, and I forget what the other one is. I have it right here.
Okay. Well,
but I need to write down what you told me.
Yeah, you do.
For the pelvis and the bilateral hips.
Yeah, you most desperately
I haven't fallen.
Okay, but you most desperately need this test called an ABI. We do the ABIs in my office. Why? Because I don't like waiting around for them. And so it's a simple matter, but you're looking at blood flow of the legs. If your blood flow is impaired down there, you're at risk for losing pieces of your feet, ankles, and lower legs.
So she needs to write down ABI.
Yes, alpha, beta, I, index, ABI.
Okay. That's a test you need to make sure they do for you. ABI.
ABI.
All right.
Alpha, beta, and then gotcha.
Yep, indigo. All right. Thank you, Frederica.
Do you have any offices here?
Yes, in Longwood, Florida.
Sure
1917 Booth Circle. It's a piano's throw off of I-4.
That's DeLand, Florida.
Oh, in DeLand. No, you're right down the street. You can make it.
Just don't walk. You want to drive.
Don't
I can't drive to Orlando.
Well, then you'll need to look into land then, baby.
Okay, all right. Well, there you have it. We are in Longwood, and yeah, right down the street on I-4.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and I do mean a quick break, and then we come back and answer. We have a bunch of questions going on here, so help us out, won't you? It is Stages of Life Radio. I can't find the button. Button. I found the button. I never find the damn buttonhole. It always happens.
Yeah, but that's so. What they're going to do is they're going to jerk around until the lady's feet turn blue.
Yeah, until she loses her.
She loses her leg.
Circulation.
Yeah, that's just joyful to hear that. Well, we're going to check your hips out in case we need to do it. She can't walk. Okay, why do you suppose that is? You go a couple hundred feet and you start developing something called intermittent claudication. It's one of those things you should have learned in medical school, assuming you went to medical school.
Again, we learn things here. So, all right, let's see what we got on the internet. By the way, thanks for watching us on our social media. Melanie wants to know if Armor or Synthroid is better.
Armor.
Armor is better.
Far and away. Synthroid is straight T4, no T3 at all, whereas the Armor Thyroid is both T4 and T3 with a little bit of T2 and a little bit of T1. What does T2 do? It's thought to be important with regard to weight management. Nobody really knows what T1 does.
45 seconds. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. But I take Armor Thyroid. Synthroid I wouldn't give to my dog. In fact, I loved my dog.
You don't even have a dog.
No, I did, actually. Rusty the Wonder Dog had hypothyroidism.
I don't know whether to believe him or not anymore. Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio. Look, I found the button again.
Yeah, gotta love it.
Melissa Fox and Dr. David Klein. By the way, if you are in DeLand, it's only like a 20-minute drive down I-4 if you have transportation. We're right off of the Longwood exit, I-4, 434 in beautiful Longwood, Florida.
It's a $15 Uber ride.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. And yeah, you can call in tomorrow morning first thing and set up a new patient situation with you.
Yeah.
407-679-3337 is the office, or stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. So, Dr. Klein, today we decided to refer to our body as a machine.
As a machine. Mm-hmm. So, to wind things up, what are those parts and pieces that I was referring to? So, we have things called essential enzyme cofactors, vitamins. We have essential enzyme cofactors called minerals. They're not interchangeable any more than a right fender and a left fender are interchangeable in your car. You only need one right fender, but you may need 800 5/8 inch, 2-inch bolts. Okay, just the way these things work. The body uses parts most typically for multiple functions, but there's some things single function. So your body has a half a dozen uses for iron, but it may have 500 for magnesium or 300 for zinc. So you have to have these pieces and parts, and it's not just when you get sick. It's to keep you well. So there are over 50 different pieces of the B vitamin complex. There are 6 different vitamin E's. There's 3 different vitamin D's, only one works. And so each of these pieces has to be respected because they are not interchangeable. Amino acids. There are over 20 that you have to get in your diet just to make the proteins, the structural proteins, the enzymes that are necessary for life. So you can't say, well, I just don't really feel like having lysine. I just don't like lysine. There's something about, no, I just don't want that. I don't want that. Yeah. And so your body is able to make certain things of others, but they're basic pieces that it has to have or take from the outside. Coenzyme Q10 is an obligate B vitamin. It's one of those sorts of things that can happen if your body takes a statin. You can manufacture it in small amounts, but man, if you take a statin, it stops working, and then your nerves, your muscles, your brain start to slow down. So these parts have to be respected. And when you look at nutrition, all of the parts are important. They don't come, like the 10 Commandments. Okay, well, the first commandment's more important than the second one. Otherwise, it would be the second. It makes no sense. All 10 commandments are important. All right? So when you're looking at the statute, the Florida statute, when you're looking at the Federal Register, all of these things are important. They can throw you in the slammer for things in volume 16. You didn't have to make it through one to get into trouble. So the long and short of it is that you have to respect the parts list. So you get out and you eat a good balanced meal. If your doctor tells you you're getting everything from what you're eating, the guy's an idiot or gal's an idiot. We haven't really had good nutritional food coming out of our ground in 50 years because the ground itself has been depleted of these minerals. So you have to take them in supplemental form. If you live in Central America where you have a volcanic water runoff, you're far more likely to get the minerals in your water than you are here in Florida or in places, godforsaken places like New York. So what you really need to do is you need to look at the supplements and understand the reason why you developed diabetes was because you're vanadium and chromium deficient. The reason why you developed Hashimoto's is you were zinc and selenium deficient. The reason why you became depressed is you may be lithium deficient. Lithium's is the third most prevalent element in the universe. You're supposed to have a certain amount of it in your system, and if you don't, things go sour. How much lithium does it take to feel better? 10 to 20 milligrams. It does not take much lithium. So there are, and that's over-the-counter dosage too, by the way. You don't need a prescription to get that. So these are the sorts of things that are important. Respect the fact that you have a parts list, learn about the parts list, and don't play favorites. All right? There are omega-3 fatty acids you have got to have because your body can't live without them, or at least can't live healthy. There are amino acids you have to have. Can't live without them. You can't live healthy. Vitamins, minerals across the board. And then what do people do? They go out and buy super beets. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Come on.
You've got to be kidding me. So no, the phytonutrients are useful to polish the apple. The saw palmetto, very useful once you reach a certain age and your prostate starts to enlarge. But before then, you really do need to be looking at the sorts of things to keep the body and mind connected. Osteoporosis, what do you think's causing that? Strontium deficiency. Strontium is a mineral that's supposed to be in our water, but wouldn't you know it, as you get older, you have a harder time absorbing it. So you have to take it exogenously. That means out of a bottle. And that will harden your bone. The dentists have known it for years. It's in dentifrice, sometimes known as toothpaste, to harden the teeth. So none of this stuff is all that new. It has been around and known for 50, 60 years or more, and yet what do? We look for expensive molecules not found in nature so that somebody can get a patent on it, make a lot of money, and then go live in the Bermuda. So what do? Do a little bit of reading. If you want to read more or hear more, you can go to Stages of Life Radio, and you'll hear me babble 24/7. You can go on stagesoflifevitamins.com and just pick an item. It doesn't matter what it is. Just pick one. Pick a substance. Doesn't matter what it is. Go down to the audio files, click on them, and listen to them. They're each 10 to 15 minutes long, and they will educate you in a way that you can't.
You could
really
say blow
do.
your mind away.
It will blow your mind.
Okay.
Why? Because I have spent thousands of hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars to give this away. This is a gift. Take advantage of it. Okay, you'll learn, and then you will get healthy. We have a marvelous practice going on. The patients that are mine, especially those that have been with me for years, are the healthiest elderly people you've ever seen in your life. It's not uncommon for our 80 and 90-year-olds to have cholesterols in the 150, 170 range, not on statins. My dad passed away at 92. He was not on a statin. His cholesterol was in the 170s. He goes see a doctor in South Florida. They put him on a statin because all of his patients have to take statins. They killed my dad. Okay, as it turns out. It's just the way that I'm still more than a little irritated about it.
A little chapped, yeah.
Yeah, a little chapped. Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little. Stages of Life Medical Institute.com. This is Stages of Life Radio. I have a few minutes if you want to grab the phone and get in, 407-422-1212, or you can text us 23680. As we said before, Stages of Life Medical Institute is in Longwood, but they also have the Florida Laboratory Analysis. Tell us a little bit about that.
FLA is one of our side businesses, and so what we do, I was an analytical chemist before I was a doctor. I've been doing molecular genetics medicine for 4 years. So we were doing this stuff with the PCR before COVID came around. So we were able to ramp up for that to take care of up to 2,000-3,000 people per day, and that's just what we're doing right now. But Florida Laboratory Analysis can do a PCR with a very, very low level of detection. That means it's very sensitive and get the results to you within 24 hours. So you can go to travelpcr.com. So if you've got to go out of the country and you need it done like right now, you pay extra because we have to go sending people out to get it. But yeah, so travelpcr.com, cruisepcr.com, and we have one coming up called workpcr.com. If you have an employment situation where all of a sudden you have to shut down because somebody got sick, we can test everybody in your office and get it done in 8 hours or so.
Wow.
So this is pretty damn slick. We're the fastest in the country, probably the best in the country, and I'm really, really proud of it.
FloridaLaboratoryAnalysis.com. Average turnaround's 36 to 48 hours.
Well, it's actually less than that.
It is less than that, but I'm just putting, I don't want to,
Yeah,
I
well,
want you to be
under-promise,
impressed.
over-deliver.
Right, exactly. So anyway, we had a wonderful time today. As always, thank you all who checked in on the phone lines, on the social media, as well as on the text line. We'll be back again next Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock.
That was fun.
It was fun.
All right, my friend.
Be well, my friends. I stole your line.
There you go.
All right, we'll see you later.
You've been listening to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Check out Stages